There you go. Some more letters. In the alley. And tennis. Are these connected? They are. But we're so far down here already. So, what else do we have? There, wait. We have done that already. That's that. I guess we'll do this one. The office wing of Criminal Investigation Unit 4 looked like a small warehouse that hadn't been organized in forever. It was crowded and messy in the first place. Then, almost every desk had stacks of files that were at least 20 centimeters tall, as well as all kinds of evidence and other random items. I stood up straight and gave a salute. Zhang Yongming, reporting for duty at Unit 4. Oh, he looks completely different to what I imagined him looking like. I was more imagining him to look like this. There were only 2 other people there beside me. One of them... I need to change his voice then. One of them was wiping down his rifle. He looked at me with a strange examining look on his face. The other one had dark circles around his eyes, which made him look like he hadn't slept for days. He was looking over some files. Judging from his seat, this must be the infamous lieutenant of Unit 4, Kang Baek-ya. Lieutenant Kang gave me a glance with a half-smoked cigarette in his mouth, then he mumbled. You, over there. I followed the direction of his look and saw the desk that he had seemed to be referring to. Many old bags from McDonald's were stacked on top of it, all filled with leftovers and trash. It was also directly opposite the bathroom, facing it. It was okay, as long as I had somewhere to sit. I was about to ask Lieutenant Kang what I should do next when the phone on his desk rang. He took the call, put down the phone, and announced to us that there was a gang-related hostage situation 2 blocks from the station. I never thought my opportunity to defend justice would arrive so soon. Lieutenant Kang put out a cigarette in an ashtray and stood up. I followed him. He grabbed his coat and asked, "Hey, new guy, have you got your gun?" My gun? No, not yet. Then where do you think you're going? Stay by the phone. Take notes if anything comes up. Don't speak too much. I can still help without a gun. As a policeman, I swore to defend justice to prevent all offenses against people and property. Justice? Lieutenant Kang burst into laughter before I could finish my sentence. You think justice is going to block a bullet from hitting you? Well, kid, I've seen plenty of idiots like you. In my unit, there's only one rule you need to remember at all times, which is to follow the orders. That wasn't what I meant at all. I was just trying to help. First day in the job and I was already having such a misunderstanding with my lieutenant. But before I could explain myself, Lieutenant Kang continued. If you have a problem with staying by the phone, you could just go home and don't bother coming back tomorrow either. I'll let the old man know. After they left, I sat down at my seat opposite the bathroom. As my nose was catching glimpses of the faint smell, I let out a defeated sigh. When I had been in the police academy, people would always have an understanding smile on their face whenever Unit 4 was brought up. Everyone had heard all sorts of rumors about this place. Lieutenant Kang was the infamous dictator of the Criminal Investigation Department. Everyone must follow his orders without question. He had a peculiar personality and was extremely rough, even cruel with the criminals. Besides, Lieutenant Kang was a lot younger than the other unit's lieutenants. Therefore, many people speculated that Lieutenant Kang had only gotten his position because of nepotism. As a result, no rookies ever wanted to join Unit 4. As for the unit that everyone dreamt of getting into, that would have to be Unit 1. Unit 1 had over 30 officers and was widely considered to be the best unit in the department. Yet, here I was assigned to Unit 4. I was sulking when the phone rang again. There was another hostage case in Bupyeongdong. Since no one in Unit 4 was available, I suppose this was my time to shine. Oh god. What do you even plan to do? I hurried to the scene in 10 minutes. It was a 10-story apartment building. I could vaguely see 2 people on the ledge of the rooftop. People told me that they were a married couple. The husband had borrowed too much money from loan sharks and couldn't pay them back. That was why he wanted to jump up the building, and he had forced his wife up there with him. Well, let's see how I, Chung Yong-ming, would brilliantly solve this crisis. One of his feet was already at the edge of the ledge. He was holding a knife against the frightened wife's neck. I walked over there. Stop, I'm telling you to stop. He got riled up and his right foot missed the ledge. He fell over the edge and dragged his wife with him. Wait, no! Before I even had a chance to talk him down, both of them disappeared out of my sight. It was a terrible scene at the bottom of the building. Even though I was 10 floors above the ground, I felt like I could smell the blood. It almost made me sick. I stood there in shock. For the first time, I finally recognized what it felt like to be a real policeman. Oh God, what the hell have I done? Could I be any more stupid? Give me a second. No, I don't think so. Please, Buddha. Please let me have another chance. Please. Zhang Yongming. Next letter. Hong Kong was different than what I had imagined. Back home in Mexico, everything was so colorful. But Hong Kong was just grey. Grey streets, grey buildings, grey store signs, and grey homeless people. And there was me, sitting in the middle of them, looking odd. I never knew that pesos couldn't be exchanged into Hong Kong dollars here. When I woke up, I found a few more coins by my feet. I had to take them. I must survive. None of the homeless people seemed to like me very much. Perhaps because they could only get about half as many coins as I. I had a big sister named Alicia. She was 9 years older than me. We both grew up in an orphanage in Monteclair. It was a rural place. You had to travel 4 kilometers to get to the nearest town, Quatebec, just to make a phone call. I couldn't remember anything about my own parents. My big sister was the only person I had in this world. 9 years ago, Alicia had left Mexico to make more money. She used to write me letters every few months. Every time the mailman came, I would be so excited to see if there was an envelope with my name on it. Even though I couldn't read much, Auntie Benita would always read them to me. Alicia didn't seem to have the easiest time, but she had seen so much of the outside world. And by reading her letters, I felt like I got to see what Alicia had seen as well. I could almost feel like I was right there with her in the big, new, interesting and fascinating world that we had never seen before. However, we had stopped hearing from her about a year ago. Her last letter had come from Hong Kong, so I had asked Uncle Deb to find a tutor for me who could teach me how to read and speak a little of the local language. I'd worked so hard to make more money for the trip. I had done all this just so I could come to Hong Kong, even though I wasn't sure if she was still in this city. Still, even if there was just the tiniest hope, I would never give up. I knew I had to find my sister and make sure that she was okay. I had arrived at Pitt Street. Pitt Street had been on the postmark of Alicia's last letter. Maybe someone nearby might have seen her. Before I left, Auntie Benita had given me an old cell phone. I pulled up a picture of Alicia on the phone. I held up the phone, asking people door to door to see if they had seen my sister. I couldn't tell if they simply couldn't understand me. They would wave their hands at me every time before I had barely spoken. Almost halfway through the street, I found myself being behind a huge crowd of people. Thick, dark smoke was coming out of the building nearby. People were shoving and running out of it. More and more people started to gather on the street. Many of them were even taking pictures with their phones. The fire truck finally arrived. My cell phone suddenly rang. My cell phone fell to the ground. My cell phone was vibrating on the ground, then it fell through a storm drain. No! The sewer water was flowing rapidly in the drain. I held onto the drain and tried my best to look down. Maybe the phone was stuck somewhere? I looked for a long time and even tried to reach in with my hand, but I couldn't get it. I was so tired, disappointed and desperate. I couldn't pretend anymore. I fell to the ground feeling like shit. But that cell phone was the most valuable thing I had. It had the only picture of my sister on it. Lord, please help me. I really didn't know if I could ever find my big sister without it. Carlos. Alright, Carlos, we'll help you out. What have we got? Well, you're not walking over there. Alright. The fire truck finally arrived. Taking pictures with their phones. I want to put this over there. But the fire truck will arrive beforehand, sure. We'll try that. I'm not sure this will work, but that's the best first attempt I've got. I tried to talk some sense into him. I told him that one could always earn back the money. I said he still had his wife's full support, so he shouldn't give up just yet. I even tried asking him if he would like some dorsal bibimbap for dinner. But none of the techniques I had learned from the academy worked. The standoff kept going. The wife was clearly physically exhausted and she looked like she was mentally drained too. Honey, if you really want to die so much, let me go with you then. I hope we can both be happy in our next lives. She grabbed the knife on her neck and cut her own throat open. Blood was gushing out. Then she collapsed onto the ground that had been colored red by her own blood. The man's face was covered by blood. He seemed to have lost the ability to talk. He slowly knelt down and took the knife out of the woman's hands. It looked like he had completely lost his mind. I couldn't let it happen a second time. I sprinted ahead a few steps and kicked the knife out of his hand. I pinned the man down on the ground. He looked at his wife's body, which was only half a meter away and slowly losing its warmth. Then he wept. Neither of us had expected the situation to turn out like that. I was suspended due to the serious consequences caused by my reckless, unauthorized actions. The fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. It was total chaos in front of the burning building. More and more injured people were being carried out of the building. A man in a black trench coat seemed to have summoned a lot of people to help put out the fire. I wasn't injured and I had all my limbs. I thought I should go help too. I walked toward the man. Excuse me, I would like to. A huge man in a black suit appeared in front of me and blocked my sight. The suit guy seemed to be twice my size. He looked down upon me and I could see a deep scar on his face. Help. I swallowed anxiously and had no idea what to say next. The suit guy held up his hand and pointed to somewhere behind me. A truck full of fire extinguishers had just arrived. The fire was finally put out by sunset. I sat on the stairs at the bottom of the building, exhausted. I was covered with dust and ash from head to toe. All of the injured people had been sent to the hospital. The man leading the team had already left. My stomach began rumbling. Man, if I could only get a free meal for helping to put out a fire. Being bad. Okay. No. This way? Let's just try this. I don't know. Wait, that's results in the same. How about this? Just out of curiosity. I don't think this is going to end up great, but I want to know. Stop! I'm telling you to stop! He got riled up and his right foot missed the ledge. He fell over the edge and dragged it. Okay, yep. Predictable. Oh, the fire department has set up a cushion below. You moron, do you know how big of a mess you've made? That case was not even under our jurisdiction. Back at the station, Lieutenant Kang was outraged. He was yelling at me so loudly that the entire building could hear him. The hospital later called and informed us that the couple was okay. However, the wife had been 4 months pregnant. They couldn't save the baby. I was suspended due to... Okay. We've read that. I put my cell phone back into my pocket and left the crowd. I walked to the next street asking the pedestrians about Alicia. Okay, rank D. And rank A. Okay. Not bad. Both of them. Okay. Huh. Fire truck arrived. What about this? Fire trucks, firemen, fire hoses. The fire department had taken charge of the situation. I walked up to a fireman nearby and asked if there was anything I could do to help. A foreigner? He asked as he looked at me. You really shouldn't stay here. If we don't put out this fire today, we'll be dying 1,000 deaths. He saw my confused look and added, You're new here. This is the headquarters of the Black Dragon Gang, the most powerful gang in this area. Yes, gang, bad people. There are gangs in your country, right? So stay away from here. Leave. Just go get some soda or something. First established by Ling Deshu, the Black Dragon Gang has gradually become the largest local gang organization in Hong Kong. The gang itself is almost inseparable from the businesses under the Ling Corporation umbrella. Its reach includes drugs, firearms, underground gambling, and so on. It used to be one of the two major gangs on the island, along with the Blood Gang, whose motto is blood for blood. However, it quickly grew to 3 times the size of its rival after getting into the drug smuggling business. Nevertheless, lots of young people still choose the Blood Gang because of its emphasis on loyalty. Okay, C rank, and that's just bad. I just didn't do anything. Why not? Sure. How could I do this? Let's just try this. Getting to experience more different parts of the story. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we've read that. I walked up to a fireman nearby and I was about to ask if there was anything I could do to help. But before I opened my mouth, another fireman quickly ran past me and knocked the phone out of my hand. And another one behind him immediately stepped on the phone. The screen cracked into pieces. No! The fireman next to me picked up the phone for me. Okay, yep, we've read that. E, okay. So I need to do something with him. Why not just put all the cell phone stuff over there? What about this? Bad. What about this? No, it's new at least. The phone kept ringing. Who the hell would be calling me at this godforsaken moment? I was about to bend over and pick it up. The man suddenly got riled up. He waved the knife at me wildly. Don't move! Don't answer the phone! His wife saw a chance as the knife had left her neck, so she bit his left wrist as hard as she could. He dropped the knife out of pain. Then she ran over and hid behind me before he could pick it back up. The man suddenly began wailing like a child. So, even you are abandoning me? Fine, I'll just go by myself. He raised his knife and cut his own throat open. I didn't even have enough time to react. I was suspended. Yeah, okay. Bad. I mean, I solved the hostage situation, sort of. What about this? Does that change anything? No. Okay. What about... Did I try that? Yeah, I did. I want to solve his situation right now, and then I'll think about how to get the other one right too. I mean, that's not gonna work. If I walk over there, he's gone. What about this? Just having everything over here. What about this? No, that doesn't work, right? No. Yeah, that gives me an A rank and a D rank for Carlos. Is that maybe the best I can manage? Does that even... What about this? Bad and an A rank. Does that change anything? No. What about this? No, that's bad for both. I'm just trying a couple things. Wait, did I even change that? No. Oh. That makes a difference, apparently. Someone quickly ran past me and bumped into my arm. My phone was knocked out of my hand. It stopped at another man's feet. The fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. However, this man in a black trench coat seemed to have summoned a lot of people to help put out the fire. He picked up my phone with his left hand. It was ringing with a joyful ringtone and a little cartoon lamp was dancing happily on the screen. The man tossed my phone back to me and I lost myself in the melody of Little Lamb Billy. It was Alicia's favorite song and she used to sing it to me all the time. But I didn't realize I had forgotten to answer the phone until it stopped ringing. I called back and it was Auntie Benita. She was calling from a convenience store in Quarterbeck and she wanted to check if I had any news about my sister. She told me to let her know as soon as I found her. Besides Alicia, Auntie Benita really was the kindest person I had ever met. Once I get a real job and became rich, I promised I would take care of her and the orphanage. I left the crowd and walked to the next street, asking the pedestrians about Alicia. That gives me an A rank for him. But bad for him. Yeah, do you think... Let me just check the hints. Sure. Just once. Wait. Retry. None of the techniques I learned from the academy worked. My cell phone suddenly rang. It's this sort of... That sort of thing. Could work. Huh? That might be interesting. Who the hell would be calling me at this godforsaken moment? I turned around and answered the phone quietly. It was from the station. They told me something important had happened to the unit and I must get back as soon as possible and await further instructions. I hung up the phone and turned around only to realize that the couple had disappeared from the ledge. God damn it. Fortunately, the fire department had set up a cushion below. Yep. Yeah, the couple was okay. Child is dead. Phone was knocked out of my hand. Yeah. Is that an A for both? Oh. He picked up my phone with his left hand and saw my sister's picture. Then he asked me in English what my relationship was with her. There was no expression on his face the entire time. After hearing my explanation, he tossed the phone back to me. Then he said, "Come back here tomorrow." You know my sister? I walked up to him in excitement, but a huge man in a black suit stopped me. The man in the trench coat looked like he wasn't going to answer any of my questions and turned his attention back to his men in the fire. The suit guy seemed like he was twice my size. He looked down upon me and I could see a deep scar on his face. Fine, I would come back tomorrow. Still, I never thought I would find a clue about Alicia just like this. The Lord must be blessing us. Sister, we would soon meet again. I just knew it. Okay, that's gonna be the best end. Yep. I can't seem to get it to work no matter how hard I try. Am I too stupid? It's not your fault. Something seems to be tied up over there with Kangbek, yeah? Once you solve the problem over there, it might impact this one too. Is that a thing too? Occasionally we might not be able to solve the current case because of something that's happened somewhere else. Whenever this occurs, you will see orange text in the letters. The appearance of orange text typically means that you will need to consult another letter to handle the current one. So basically, if I see orange text in a letter, I should go and check on some other letters first, right? Correct. Sometimes you might need to handle the other letters first. Other times it might just mean that you need to look for clues in the other letters. In either case, it really depends on the letters and you'll have to use your own judgment. This doesn't happen too often, but if you do encounter it, then make sure you take advantage of the hints in the letters to help you. Got it. I'll go and read the letter from Kambekya first. Okay. You might have already noticed that every time you open a letter, you can see a number of small colored squares here. Oh yes, what are those? The small squares can be one of three colors: yellow, pink, and gray. Some of them are solid, while some of them are empty. These squares represent all of the possible endings for the events described in a specific letter. The solid ones stand for the endings that you have discovered, while the empty ones are the endings that you have yet to reach. Of the solid squares, the yellow one marks the selected ending that you have chosen at the moment, which means the yellow square could only be solid and never empty. The solid pink squares, on the other hand, represent the endings that you have discovered but are not selected at the moment. The pink empty squares are the endings you have not discovered yet. All of these squares are strictly arranged in order, S, A, B, C, D, E, F, X, which could be a helpful reference when you're making your decisions. What about these grey squares? Grey squares may be either solid or empty, but they are less common. Sometimes the development of certain events may be impacted by other people and things. For instance, this incident with Jiang Yongming was affected by the incidents on Kang Baek-hya's side. That's why there's a grey square here. A grey square means that under current conditions, the probability of this potential ending happening is 0, or in layman's terms, it cannot happen. Once we solve the related pending problem, the square will no longer be grey, meaning that it is now possible for us to reach this ending. Meanwhile, a previous ending that we have reached will now turn grey instead. Visible confusion. I understand it is very confusing when I explain it to you like this. However, I believe once you are done with Jiang Yongming's story, you will figure out how it works. Got it. I'll give it a shot. Okay. But, can I zoom out here? Yes, I can. Ooh, that looks long. Alright. But we'll figure this out in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.